Okay, he can do the 3, 2, 1 countdown then for you.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the January IAC meeting. Do we have a quorum, Mr. Guerrero?
Yes, we do. Madam
All right.
Chair.
Well, I'd like to welcome all of the members of the IAC and all of our staff. And we are ready to look at the consent agenda. And if I could have a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right, moved by Secretary McCord, second by Senator Casemeyer. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Madam Chair, do you want to call roll? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we probably should do that, shouldn't we?
Oh.
So everybody knows we're all here.
Would you like for me to, or are you going to?
No.
Or Elliot?
Please proceed.
Okay. All right. Ms. Avetta?
Present.
Secretary Churchill?
Present.
Ms. Eberhardt?
Present.
Mr. Gibbons?
Here.
Senator Casemeyer?
Here.
Senator Lala? Does not look like she's here. I don't see her, and I'm not hearing anything. Mr. Lombardo? Don't see him either. Secretary McCord?
I'm present.
And, of course, Dr. Salmon.
I'm present as well. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. So back to, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. You can show or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Schoen?
The motion carries.
Wonderful. And I think Gloria is just about to join us. Wonderful. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning. Good to see you. All right, we're going to move on to section 2 of our agenda, which is the report on the ASP and SSGP project extensions. And so we're going to welcome Wanda this morning to give us that update.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I am here to report on the Agent School Program and School Safety Grant Program project extended under the authority of the Executive Director. The attached report shows Agent School projects totaling a little over $3 million in school safety grant program totaling a little over $2 million has been granted for an extension for a period of 1 year. Under the extension, in summary, 10.1 million of SSGP has been expended according to 3.1 million has been, 3.1 million has been expended, 4.5 million is in the process of being reviewed, and 2.4 million has been expended for 1 year. For the Agent School Program, 7.1 million, 2.6 has been expended, 3.3 million has been extended under the 1 year extension, and 1.5 million is being reviewed for reimbursement. This item is for informational purpose and does not require an IAC action. Are there any questions?
Questions for Wanda, and note that the detail associated with these amounts of money follows page 35 in your agenda all the way through page 39. All right, hearing no questions. Thank you, Wanda, for the update. Appreciate it. And now we're going to move on to section 3, which is the report on the contract deadline extensions under the governor's executive order. And we're going to have Brett join us. And this is item under page 40 of your agenda. So good morning, Brett.
Good morning, members. Item 3 is the status report on contract deadline extensions related to the governor's executive order from March 12, 2020. This item is informational and does not require IAC action. Section 5-303J of the Education article in Maryland Code requires that for each capital improvement program project that receives an allocation of state school construction funds from the IAC, the LEA must execute a contract with a vendor within 2 years of the IAC's approval of project allocation. Members, if you recall, on August 20th, 2020, the executive director of the IAC requested that the cancellation of 5 Prince George's projects be removed from the agenda as Secretary McCord had informed IAC staff that there had been the authority to issue an extension to the deadline of when a CIP project must be under contract in accordance with the governor's executive order. In particular, the notice extended the deadline for any CIP projects that will expire during the state of emergency to the 30th day after the state of emergency is terminated. Staff has prepared a report, which can be found below, to inform the commission on the status of the 12 CIP projects with contract deadlines that have been extended under the executive director's notice. There's a recent update to the table below since publication. Both Howard County projects will request to be rescinded at the next meeting with the funds to go to Hammond High, their CIP priority number 3. Montgomery's project was successfully rebid and is now in the procurement stage. Prince George's project had a phase 1 portion created, and the new jock contract for this phase is now in the procurement stage as well. And no additional updates to the city school projects. At this time, I'll stand for questions.
Questions for Brett? All right, pretty clear report. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate it. We're going to now move on to section 4 of the agenda, which is the project cancellation and fiscal year 2021 CIP amendment for Baltimore City Public Schools CIP. And we're going to welcome Jamie. Jamie Bridges is here to bring this to our attention. This does require action by the IAC, and this is starting on page 41 of your agenda. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. It's good to see you all. As you said, I'm here to present item 4, an action item, the Baltimore City Public Schools project cancellation and amendment of the FY 2021 CIP. I will provide some background, stand for some questions, and then deliver the motion at your direction. IAC staff received official notification from Baltimore City on November 6, 2020, requesting, in accordance with the education article, the rescission of an elevator project approved for the FY 2021 capital improvement program and the amendment of the FY 2021 capital improvement program to include an elevator project at a different building. City Schools inadvertently requested funding for the Thomas Jefferson PK through 8 building when in fact the need for the elevator project existed at the Thomas Johnson PK through 8 building. The IAC staff recommends approval of the above reference request. I'll stand for questions.
Questions for Jamie? Sounds like somebody got their names mixed up.
TJ for TJ.
Yes. All right. If there are no questions, do I have a motion to approve?
Well, first I would like to read
I'm sorry.
the
Would you
motion.
read the motion, Jamie?
Sure,
I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem.
It seems like such a simple thing.
It is. So the motion is to approve a request from Baltimore City Public Schools to rescind $466,000 allocated to the Thomas Jefferson PK through 8 number 232 elevator project and transfer the funds to the statewide contingency account reserved for Baltimore City Public Schools, and to amend the FY 2021 CIP to include the Thomas Johnson number 84 PK through 8 elevator project and allocate $466,000 from the statewide contingency account reserved for city schools to the project.
Thank you, Jamie. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Denise and a second from the secretary, for Secretary Churchill. All in favor, please show or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Sean?
The motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you so much, Jamie. And Jamie, you're going to be up for the next couple of sections. The next is number 5, cancellations of 4 projects in Baltimore City Public Schools. This starts on page 42 of your agenda, and this also requires action from the IAC. So Jamie, please proceed.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I'll provide some background information, stand for questions, and read the motion at your direction. So, education article requires capital improvement program project allocations that are uncontracted after 2 years be transferred to the statewide reserve appropriation account and reserved for reallocation to other eligible CIP projects in the LEA. 3 FY 2019 CIP project allocations to Baltimore City Public Schools projects have not been contracted within the 2-year deadline. Although the 2-year deadline to contract the project allocations has been extended per the executive director's notice dated August 20, 2020, City Schools does not plan to complete these projects. Per the letter dated November 19, the attachment, City Schools has requested the cancellation of 3 FY 2019 CIP projects and has provided justification for the cancellation of each. The Healthy Schools Facility Fund Administrative Procedures Guide requires project allocations uncontracted after final reimbursement of an approved project to be transferred back to the fund and reserved for reallocation to other eligible Healthy School Facility Fund projects in the state. City Schools does not plan to complete one FY 2020 Healthy School Facility Fund project. Per the letter also dated November 19, 2020, City Schools has requested the cancellation of the one fiscal year 2020 Healthy School Facility Fund project and has provided justification for the cancellation. Just a few notes on the projects in particular. Projects numbered 2 and 3 for City College High School for a roof and a fire alarm replacement. Both of these projects will be delivered through a major renovation project of the 275,000 square foot Castle on the Hill, as it is sometimes known, which opened in 1928. The ed spec for that project is complete and the feasibility study is ongoing. Project number 1, the Edgewood Elementary VPU project. That was one of the earlier vertical package unit projects, and it was cost estimated out at about $20,000 per classroom before the full extent of the need to upgrade the electrical infrastructure at all the buildings was known. And so that project was designed and got rolled into the Healthy School Facility Fund program because it was ready to go, but it needed a higher budget. And so that project is actually operational at this time. And then the South Side building is certainly a hard one. That was a request for $1.956 million to separate the HVAC and the electrical equipment from Carter G. Woodson and to install VPUs in 23 classrooms. The commission recognized a great need for conditioning in classrooms at that building. But there is more than $1 million associated in that project with separating the electrical and HVAC equipment from Carter G. Woodson, which was to be surplused through the 21st Century Schools Building Program. But there is no plan for either building, and so it did not seem like the best time or the best use of state funds. The South Side building is a really hard one. We did talk about this quite a bit when we allocated those funds. The solution is inadequate. There is an old roof, old windows, so it needs much more than air conditioning, and it is a challenge because it is less than 30% utilized. And so they are, there's a lot of room there, and it's not affordable at the school or the portfolio level. However, the vertical package units are a scalable solution, and funds were allocated in order to condition enough classrooms to meet the needs of the kids who are there, about 18 classrooms. And so, I think the commission did the best that could be done in that circumstance. And so that is reasonable, and the City Schools did not choose to continue with that project. which is also understandable. So it is a complicated project. I did want to provide that background. And with that said, I will stand for any questions on these projects or this item.
Director Gorell, did you want to say something about the South Side project?
No, I was going to say, same as Jamie. He said everything I was going to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it troubling. Have they looked at any way to reallocate those students to another building, since it's only 30% of the building that's full?
Yes, I do not have anyone in the audience that I know of to refer. However, I do know that quite a bit of deliberation is done, and it is done every year on the South Side. It is a challenge. The Cherry Hill Peninsula is geographically isolated, and it has a certain amount of character that they have to recognize, and so it is a struggle for them, and as well as it is for us.
So Jamie, I don't want to, if you don't know this, it's fine, but how many students are in this building? What grades, and how many students is the capacity for?
This is the home of the New Era Academy. I believe that the enrollment is someplace around 330 at this time, and the capacity of that building is, I believe, about 1,000. Right, so it's about 1,060, I think it is. So it is underutilized. The top floor of one of the wings has been completely separated and shut down.
I think I visited this school. Director Gurl, didn't we go to this school?
Yeah, we did, and we walked around, and
That's what I thought.
it is one that maybe the best solution would be to have raised that school and build back a smaller one in that location, if that's
Absolutely.
indeed where we need one.
Absolutely. That building is, it's awful.
Yes.
I mean, I have to say, it's absolutely awful. And Jamie's right. I mean, half the one floor and the top floor is just totally
Yes.
boarded up.
Yes. And Dr. Salmon, we, in thinking through this, we know that there are kids there. They need to be in space that they can learn in. We know that if it's too hot, that it's distracting to the teacher and the kids. It's just not appropriate. These vertical package units are a good solution. They do both heating and cooling, if necessary, and all the utilities could be shut off to allow that building to limp along. And that's the recommendation that we came up with. We felt like was the most appropriate, scaled to the problem that we were facing. And then a better solution can be developed that we're unsure of right now, but I'm sure there's a better solution.
Other comments or questions from other IAC members? Well, let's go ahead, Denise.
My question is, if the building is in that state, what is the current existing fire safety that is there if you do have children in the building right now and that was something that was slated for improvement?
That's a good question. For fire safety, the important part of fire safety are the alarm systems. And regardless of the age of a facility, those have to be in top operating condition. That's something that we look at in our maintenance assessments. It's a critical item. I don't know the answer. I believe that alarm system is in good operational shape. It's not the latest and addressable, but it will work. It meets the code. But why don't you let us investigate that and bring the answer back?
Thank you.
Secretary McCord. You're muted.
Got it. Thank you. Just commenting to thank Jamie on the explanations, because what we have in the packet, supplemented by what we got from Jamie, helps us understand it way better than just looking at it on paper. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Other comments? I was wondering if we could defer this one and get the information that Denise has requested. And also, is there any way that we can push back a little bit and suggest that they go ahead and provide those units for those kids if they're not going to do anything different for the next few years?
Madam Chair, we will carry that message from the IAC Commission back to the school and ask for further discussion, see if we can get an answer back. And we'll also bring back information on the alarm system, as Mr. Vetta has asked for. And yes, you can take this off the agenda and we can bring it back next month.
Do I have agreement to do that from the rest of the members? I don't want to just be out there on my own here. Okay, I'm seeing heads shaking. All right, thank you.
And Jamie will read the motion accordingly. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Please read the motion.
Great. Excuse me, I was just taking some notes. All right, so the motion then is to approve, one, the cancellation of 3 Baltimore City Public Schools FY 2019 Capital Improvement Program projects and transfer the project allocations in an amount of $7,005,000 to the statewide reserved appropriation account for reallocation to other eligible CIP projects in Baltimore City.
All right, and we will not consider the second part of that motion since we're going to hold on to that for a future meeting and get more information. So based on the first segment of that motion, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, so moved by Brian. Or was that Senator Casemeyer? I'm sorry. Okay.
Either way.
All right. That was by Senator Casemeyer. And then do I have a second? Second by Senator Laylal. All in favor, please say or show aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Sean?
The motion carried unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And now, Jamie, in our last section, our Baltimore City HVAC project status report, your graphic is on page 45 of the agenda.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair, once again. Just looking back, I will add that my sources tell me that the fire alarm at Southside is in fine working condition. I'll let that be known, and then I'll move on to this item. As you said, this is an informational item, so I will provide an update on the extra $15 million for HVAC projects for the period of December to now. Starting with project phase, very little to report. However, I can report that next month's report will move 2 of the projects that are currently in procurement into construction, as we will be considering approving contracts for projects at Thomas Johnson and Windsor Hills at the February meeting. As far as project status goes, again, more of the same. The city has been pushing ahead quickly, taking advantage of the lack of students in the buildings, I guess making lemonade, so to speak, to make sure that these projects get done as soon as possible. And I guess that shows moving down into the contract status portion. Right now, all $15 million of the extra 15 have been allocated to projects. And at this time, $10.37 million have been contracted. Since our last report, an additional $1.257 million has been expended. So December was a pretty busy month. And at this time, 43% of the $15 million extra for HVAC for Baltimore City projects has been expended. So city's working hard, trying to get the work done. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Questions on the update on the HVAC in Baltimore City? All right, hearing no questions, we are now going to move into an executive session. Mr. Schoen, would you read why we're doing that? And also, I need to ask if anyone objects to us going into